Ladies and gentlemen.
Man, I gotta fix that delay. It's always putting delay on your voice.
Ladies and gentlemen. I thought
He's doing a thing. I'm not.
Okay.
Welcome back to another episode of the Running Bear.
Oh, there's that delay again.
I don't know what it is, man. Gotta turn it off.
Tourette's. It's got Tourette's.
It's definitely. It's something on a spectrum.
Yo, that's funny. Not gonna lie, fellas. Here we are. I mean, around the four of us, around the world and back. And this is now. I've had conversations with all you guys, and you guys are amazing human beings, man. And you guys,
I'm just trying to be like you, man.
No, I'm trying.
You might get Tourette's.
You definitely have Tourette's.
And then your voice will have delays to it.
Whatever, guys.
Strange, unnecessary echo.
All right. You guys know?
Love it.
No. You guys are extremely healthy, man. And you guys, I've learned so much from you about health, wellness, spirituality. But to have all you guys here in the same room is pretty crazy. We'll get to it.
Speaking of health.
Speaking of health. So, I consider all you guys extremely healthy. You as well. We're not going to say
you as well. What do you mean? I thought we're all in this circle of healthy.
And we are. But the crazy thing for me is, when I was on my path of health and wellness and understanding, what it means to live a healthy life, you guys challenged me on some stuff that I just didn't know. And I'll give you a perfect example. Traveling around and, I had an energy drink, and it's no energy drinks. I was like, okay, I understand. No energy drinks, a lot of caffeine, I get that. And then I seen you guys drinking a lot more tea. And I said, okay, they sincerely like tea. And then we got into a conversation about tea. And that kind of really started my journey towards understanding more about, I would say, a mix of herbal, holistic medicines. You guys had conversations with me about ghee. There's so many different avenues of health, and it really questioned my definition. And you guys all come from different backgrounds around the world and back. So this conversation, I'm excited because I really just want to dive into your understanding of health. And so let me start there. What is health to you? Cody, I'll start with you, man.
Yeah, so I health and nutrition has been very on the surface of my journey throughout most of my life. I grew up in a relatively healthy household. My mom always kept us very healthy as kids. There was a supplement back in the day called Juice Plus, and it was capsules that had all of your fruits and veggies kind of freeze dried and put into a capsule, and it's good for kids just to give them that little extra nutritional boost. She would juice a lot for us. Lots of as kids we hated it because it tasted disgusting. All these smoothies with all these vegetables and fruits and powders and greens and all these things. And so I grew up with a certain palate. Now, my dad was a meat eater. We grew up meat eaters. We actually ate a lot of meat, back when I was growing up. And my mom would always kind of be the balance of the equation where she would introduce the vegetable or the salad for the meal. And it was always, a very well put together vegetable meal, not just frozen peas heated up on the stove or something like this. No, we're talking fresh produce, this very intricate salad or stir-fried veggie dish or whatever it may have been anyway. So I grew up already kind of with an inclination towards a healthier way of eating. When I had my independence, when I turned 18, I didn't really care too much about nutrition. I was eating fast food here and there, the higher quality fast foods, never McDonald's, but the In-N-Outs, pizzas, lots of pizza, things like this. It was only when after I went to college and I started to recognize that it is up to me to be the arbiter of how well this body functions, how well this mind functions, and some books that I started to read, educating me on some basic things that kind of shifted my perception on just how terrible the food industry is, how terrible the pharmaceutical industry is, and what kind of things I need to start paying attention to and looking out for and not living in blind ignorance. So one book led to 2, led to 3, led to 4. And then with lived experience through a lot of my 20s, paying attention to what my body responded to well, what it didn't respond to well. The ship of my nutritional life was being built. And piece by piece...
and now he only eats carrots.
Actually, I don't eat many carrots, actually, funny enough.
The sugar.
So here's the thing. I eventually, in 2016, I pursued holistic nutrition because it seemed like the thing that was in most alignment with all the things that I have been learning from life experience and from the resources that I'd come across through the books and online sources as well. And I knew that intuitively that things grown from the planet seemed to be the most healthy option for this body. But I didn't know exactly how to go about that or what that all was about because I had just turned vegetarian about 9 months before pursuing my holistic nutrition. And that was due to some health complications, nothing too serious, but I had my blood looked under a microscope and the doctor showed me, he said, hey, listen, your blood cells are stacking. It means you have poor digestion. Food particles are leaking into your bloodstream and that's causing your blood cells to clump. And so if if you start to cut out things that are hard for your body to digest, this might clear up for you. So I said, well, the only thing that I can think of, and I had already cut out pork, mind you, because I had done some research on pork just from all the other resources that I had read in the past, outlining that, pork is one of the dirtiest meats that we could possibly eat. It is ridden with parasites. Pigs eat poop, and manure, and they live in dirty conditions. And so all of that gets lodged into their meat, the muscle tissue. And so if you're eating an animal that eats its own poo, all of that bacteria and all of those parasites are going to be in that muscle tissue.
You're eating poop.
And a lot of, that's just like on the physical, tangible level. Just think energetically. We'll go into the energy of all this later. But then I found out that a lot of these parasites, they don't even die upon cooking. You can cook it as hot as you want. These parasites will survive. And so, and then on top of that, what's so interesting is I had met this woman years ago who was telling me a story. She was a meat eater, and she had such a parasite infestation in her body that she was pulling parasites out of her eyelids, beneath her fingernails. She got grafts done of the inside of her body, and it was just full parasitic infestation. So, I mean, she was pulling them out of her anus. Like, they were crawling out of her anus. Like, it was absolutely just, and here's the thing.
It's a horror movie.
No, it really is. And, for parents raising kids, and I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I'm kind of, letting this parasite thing take me, but just to make a quick point, there is so much research going into common ailments that people have that are directly linked to parasites, such as acne, such as skin deformations and miscolorations, things like eczema. There's so many things that are attributed now to a parasitic infestation. And mothers are reporting that their kids are coming down with all of these weird issues with their bodies, with their skin. And doctors are now identifying that these kids have parasitic infestations. I mean, me, like even malnutrition, dark circles under the eyes, constipation, all of these things can be linked to parasites. Now, it's not exclusively linked to parasites. It could be a whole host of other things. But now I think back to my past and all of the similar issues that I would have as a kid. I was constantly constipated. I had dark circles under my eyes. I had skin issues in high school, and I was eating a lot of meat. So, and pork, too. My dad made this incredible breaded pork recipe that we would love to eat. But so there, while it could be a whole host of things, hormones, obviously, as you're getting to your teenage years, just a bad, sugary, acid-filled diet nowadays with processed food, seed oils, we can go all into that. Anyway, so going back, I went vegetarian, found my blood cells were stacking, made the decision to learn more about food. I needed to know everything because I come from a, let's say, I don't know if it's philosophical approach or just my own draw to the life that I want to live. I want to live the most optimal, health-filled life that I could possibly live so that my body can be at its maximum energy potential, my mind can be at its maximum focus potential, and I'm constantly experimenting in my own life with what works and what doesn't. This has also sparked my interest in breathing, certain breathing techniques, yogic, psychotropic, things like this. Wim Hof, developed an incredible technique that's, influencing and benefiting people all over the world. I dove into that for an entire year where I was doing that consistently. So I'm always just looking for things that can enhance the human potential that I am. And I think that a lot of what we experience as being human beings, especially in the West, on a standard American diet, it's a pretty grim look. It's like, oh, is this all that there is? Just, I have a good few years being young. As I get a little in my 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, illnesses will creep up. Then I have to get into the medical system, go through that revolving door, going from doctor to doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist to specialist, living, spending money all through that, and then getting on pharmaceutical drugs by the time I'm 50 or 60, and living out the rest of my days. Hopefully, I can get to my 70s or 80s if luck works out, luck's on my side.
And then your kids put you in a warehouse for old
Yeah.
people.
So we said warehouse.
Warehouse for old people.
So
Whatever they make in
what
here.
I had found,
It's crazy.
What I had found was that this Whole Foods plant-based diet, some people call it vegan. I think the whole veganism
It's called
thing,
vegan.
some of it, yes.
Yes.
Now, but that doesn't. But I do believe that there is a differentiation between pure vegan, which is more of like a community, or sometimes some people like to call it a cult. There are cult-like behaviors in the
It's like an
vegan community.
identity more than it's
It's
food
become
choice.
it really has, and that's why I don't really like to go around saying I'm vegan, because I don't prescribe to the attitude, the identity that comes with that, because I have infused a little bit of flexibility into what is traditionally considered vegan. I live a whole foods plant-based diet, primarily plant-based. We can go into the details later amongst conversation. But what I had found was a lot of really good information, some information that can be argued and debated. As all science, it's a continuation. It's a journey. It's a process. It's never, we have reached the final conclusion on reality. And there are studies in the plant-based world that have proven to be that's not entirely true. Maybe that's too much of a black and white statement, this and that. So, it's important, if you are going to go into this world of the scientific literature on health, it's important to always take it with a grain of salt, try it out for yourself, and see what you resonate with the most, because you're going to find a lot of conflicting information in the world, as I have through my studies of reading the literature. And for a while I was gung-ho. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the holy grail of scientific literature on health and nutrition, because look at all these anecdotal studies, look at all these placebo studies, look at all these random double-blind whatever. So but again, it's important, and especially on the big food, big agriculture, big pharma side of it, you got to look at who is funding the studies.
That's what it is. That's the problem. Is the people are not taught a class called life, and part of the class that's called life in a school that should have been there should be health. They're not taught about that. And scientists bring you different information every 10 years. You do the thing they tell you, and then 10 years pass, they tell you, oh, we were wrong, with a scratch on the head.
Yeah.
So what is health?
Everybody end up,
What is health to you?
To me, health is a well-being. Health, you come with many, beside the physical body, you come with emotions, you come with your mind. If your mind is too stressed and your body is healthy, you're also going down the drain. It's not going to save you. If you work on all of yourself in life, if you know how to rhyme with life and live life and understand these places and have a well-being in your emotional field, in your mind field, in your energetic field with the element, going out for walks and things like this, and your physical field. When one of them is hurt, the others can be in line to actually heal it quicker. So if you have a physical disease and you're mentally happy and you walk with life as if every day is your last day and you're so open, this disease might leave you, because your mind was so strong to overcome this. Because your cells will always heal by themselves when your mind is not focused on the problem.
Where does that come from? Because that sounds a little bit different from experiences, and I'm just
Mozart's talking from a very first person oriented view of your experience with yourself, with your body, with your what walk through life empowers you to feel your best.
Right.
My journey has been a combination of that with the scientific literature,
right,
and trying to experiment and implement those resources and that information, and applying it to myself to see if it actually works, to see but there's no wrong answer here.
Yeah.
There,
we're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
He takes the long route.
Well, no.
And he took a very long route.
That's debatable.
And he loves it because, look, I'm not saying anything against that. I'm saying your mechanism loves to take the detailed long walk, and my mechanism loves to take the simple understanding. And that's what I come with.
Yes, but not everyone has that intuition, that connection to self.
I know. That's why I tell you the thing, chop from the beginning. This is the problem. If you're going to look outside of the world for any solution, you're going to waste so much time of your life. If you listen to yourself and you know, right now I'm fine. I can have a beer. I can have something that's even against what we call healthy or not healthy. But my state is fine. I'm okay. You'll be fine and you'll be okay. You can overcome everything with your energetic and practices within yourself. This is not easy stuff too.
Right. So where did you learn that? How did that start? Because that just it sounds different, and I understand both what you're saying. I'm just curious as where's yours started.
Well, I grew up with my father is a healer. He's a doctor. He works with the alternative medicine, Chinese and Eastern medicine, and he's a very well-educated person, like Cody himself. Yeah. My dad read every book in the world, but then I came next DNA after him. I cannot read books, but I know what he's talking about. Whenever he talks about something, I'm like, I get it. We can sit and talk. I had chapters of my life not seeing my dad for 13 years and big time chop in between. And when I go and visit him, so again, we can talk about DNA and health, about DNA too, evolution. And I find myself very like this man, and everything I don't want to be like, that I'm afraid of to become like my father, I find that I am like that. So I had to work and not bring fear into the equation, because fear also is like, it impacts your manifestation. It brings that. Anything you put attention to will bring that. So if you're focused on fear, the thing you're afraid of will come out. The same when you're diseased and you're influencing your cells through your thoughts. Because every cell in your body has a brain of its own. And you, the beginner of the thought, influence all of these cells. And that's how you can take yourself, heal yourself fully, or destroy yourself fully. You can be very healthy and destroy yourself just because of your mind, and you can be very ill and help yourself just also because of your mind, and the opposite. All your energies work together.
Have you talked to your dad about specific, I guess, not studies, but like the holistic side of medicine? Like, have you had talks with
Of course,
him?
yeah. When I was a kid, he always wanted me to work with him and help him out and stuff like that. And I was the most excited out of my brother and sister. He took 3 of us because one, he already knew that case is not going to work with the things like that. And then 3 of us 2 of us, he was trying to teach discipline to come with him and like help him out through the things. And me, he had hope because he could see, he's like, this guy is off. He's going to like this. He's not so involved with the world and education and playing with kids all the time and doing these things. I start having friends very later in my life. In the beginning, I spend it alone, but I didn't feel alone because I'm just in the garden or with my, family hanging out. I never really had too much thoughts to begin with. Like, I think it's a great I grew up in the Middle East, because if I was in the state, they would shove a lot of drugs in me, as they did to Shiva, because he's my friend and I know his story as a kid. So later on, I've discovered the things with my dad that he taught me. They clicked with me at the age of 27 or so, when I start paying attention again to what my dad used to talk about. This plant and this plant is for this is for this. It's like almost you get the download, and then I met him a couple of times, and yeah, we have talks about it and stuff like this. He tries to teach me and stuff, but he knows around 288 different mixtures within memory that works with chronic diseases, big time. And he works with the nerve system. That's his specialty. He does a lot of work on that. And I just grew up seeing a man healing people all the time. That's just what he does. My mom feed the people. My dad heal the people in the same spot.
Both, I would consider both healing.
Yeah. So I learned a couple of things from their ways of doing things. And in my life experience, I've indulged with earth and what it brings to us a lot more than I've indulged with medicine outside, like the pharma, as Cody was saying, or the education system of what tells you like to eat. This is a healthy diet. Have your bacon. Have your protein. They kill me with protein. Like it's like there's nothing else in the world but protein. Most important this. So I went through phases too. I thought at some point in my life, I thought a chicken with broccoli is the best thing in my life. And then at some point I completely dropped it because I was like, why am I eating a female animal full of estrogen and I'm a man? That's basically harming my hormones. Now, later on, I work with hormones through herbs. So I cannot eat for a long time and just do herbs and keep my weight the same way it is. And my skin look great and my hair feels good and everything feels good because I played with the hormone. And the sun is very important. It's almost everything they tell you in the educational field is wrong because they're trying to study such a big topic. You can never end right in it.
Well, let's unpack that, because it's not just about the studies. It's about the money influence.
And
of course.
But before we jump into that,
yes.
Before we jump into the influence, I need to know your side of health.
Please.
I would say, simply put, the way I look at health is the absence of illness, and that there's many layers to the human system. The body is just one of them. You have your energy system, you have your mental system, and all of these things need maintenance. And if anything is gone off, and if anything is given the improper input, you create illness, you create disease in the body, and then you deteriorate the quality of life that you live. So fundamentally, we have a life, we have a body, we have all these things that we need to maintain, and you want to give it the optimal things that it needs. So if we're keeping it in the realm of simply food and nutrition, we are severely ignoring the other things that are also in play as well, and they're all interconnected, so they all affect each other. You can eat perfectly, but your mind is full of garbage and your energies are not maintained properly, and they'll impact the body just as much as a bad diet will. And vice versa. Like, you can do all the things to keep your energies pure, then eat terribly, and allow negative, as we'll call it in yoga, like tamasic and low pranic things into your system. It doesn't matter how good your nutrition is. It doesn't matter the supplementation you're doing. So it's really bringing an awareness to the full system that you have, and how can you just live an optimal life? And that is experienced. You will experience whether you're in a healthy state or not. It's not that you're hitting all the markers, and you have to experiment with that. I can attest to how Cody approaches things with his knowledge, but only with his experience, whether he feels healthy or not, will he say that he's doing the right thing. Actually, he's kind of saying the same thing as well. He's like, if you feel good, you're experiencing a good, a good body, a good mind, you're healthy, and you don't have disease. You don't have illness.
I want to introduce one caveat to everything that you just said, and not in contradiction, but to expand on. So let's take bodybuilders, for instance. Like, Chris, this is your world. It has been your world. Not necessarily bodybuilding per se, but physical activity, exercise, gym, working out, muscle building. Okay.
Speed and power.
I would say bodybuilding, I think, is a different. Bodybuilding is interesting, so I like how you asked that question.
Well, it's not a question. I want to kind of bring this to you from this angle, just because you know a lot of the physical exercise world. So you'll have your strongmen, your bodybuilders, your people who are just trying to build a strong physique, even athletes. Okay, and we have all been born witness to this because of our past. We have been around men who prioritize the macros above the micronutrients, where they will it's calories. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter where it's from. Our bodies, there's this assumption that our bodies will process it and do what it needs to do from a macro perspective of your fats, your carbs, and your protein. And your entire nutritional outlook comes down to these three macronutrients. Mm-hmm. And they may feel that they are putting on muscle, they are putting on weight, they may feel healthy and good and strong, but what science has shown is that in a lot of these cases of these bodybuilders, these athletes who eat garbage food simply for the sake of calories and growing muscle and size, that their arteries are destroyed. They are completely clogged.
Honestly, not all. Even if you eat healthy and do this kind of situation, very few people will maintain that because it's genetically linked with certain genetics. But it will exhaust your organs. Your heart is always beating.
Yes, they will die
your
of heart
liver
attack.
is
They will
always
die
cooking.
suddenly of heart attack.
Yeah.
A lot of blood needs to pump.
So my point is that sometimes, in some cases, depending on your situation, you may feel great, but that is not the whole story. Mm-hmm. That you may be a day away or a burger away from having a heart attack.
Or you say feel, even look. So I feel as though from like a Western side, we talk about bodybuilders. Bodybuilders get it's people think that is the alpha male. Mm-hmm. That at least that's how it's portrayed here and growing up. The alpha male should be this guy with pecs and a six-pack.
And on the
be
flip
like
side,
that guy.
On the women's case, it's about having the skinniest waist, the least amount of body fat, and that is also
big booty wins.
And that is also incredibly unhealthy too. So yes, it's in the West, we have been convinced through marketing scams that in this day and age, this is the optimal look, this is the optimal health. And it's all based on aesthetics, on vanity.
But that's also influenced by the Western new ideology of things. This is pop culture of vision, pop culture of feelings, pop culture of maintenance.
Yeah.
It's pop culture. Even like if you feel this way, then you made it. And it's also, pop culture feelings.
And this is what the world has to be aware of, is that they are being sold a certain ideology, a product, and not for your benefit, for the benefit of the stakeholders.
Back in the days, the alpha could have been a 5'1" man.
Well,
and he carries the energy and the knowledge and the direction to lead a whole situation.
So to expand on your point, I want to say, like, when I say like the absence of illness, I consider the vanity behind that perspective as an illness. Like, so when someone is very hyper focused on the way they only look, and as long as they're optimizing the way they look, they have now resulted in feeling good. That's an illness. It's an illness because you are ignorant to all the other dimensions of the body, and that will lead to a long-term negative consequence to you. So it's also bringing awareness to everything you have within this human system. And then you will not prioritize larger muscles because they will know about these realities about how the heart is impacted, the organs are impacted, and let alone the mind impacted by your idea of who you are, that you are so heavily identified with the body and your expectations of how it should look. That's an illness.
It's a very interesting sport because some people are in that dimension that you're talking about, and mostly are. But there's always in every like expression of either sport, art, and whatever, you always find the originals.
They're not bodybuilding. They just look that way. Bodybuilders
and they add
are
the
trying to
bodybuilding
get to
to
that.
it.
That's the thing. They're mimicking what they're seeing in others because
But the world is a bunch of
those are the
influence.
real ones, and they're trying to now recreate what they're seeing in themselves through these artificial practices. That's an illness.
Yeah.
That's an illness to me, and that will lead to physical consequences to you.
That's why we need life class. So people cannot always be other people because most people are other people all the time. You know, because of the impact of influence, the impact of the screens. You know, you see people on TV. It's like most of the world influenced by the same like 22 artists. That's it. They all want to be like that. So most people are becoming other people because of this stuff. But when you teach life to one individual, they will know how to bring that out of themselves, who they really are.
Well, the focus changes then.
The focus changes. When I pay attention to the body, Chris, and find that the alchemy of this very earth is exactly this body. You know, earth got water, we got the blood. Earth got fire, we got the stomach. It cooks, it's constantly on fire, acidic. It got the minerals in the soil, we got the flesh with the minerals. You know, it got the stones, we got the bones. It is a reflection completely. Our alchemy is 100% this. And it got the air, we got the lungs. We are completely created from this earth. 100% this alchemy is earth material. And it's linked with a higher place, which is the space, which is in our brain. Nitrogen, what the other things are in the same cook of place and brain?
Phosphorus.
Yes,
Zinc.
nitrogen, gases.
It's actually mostly fat, I think.
And it is fat. It's cholesterol. It's the healthy good cholesterol. Not the one scientists tell you about. I'm telling you.
Well, they tell you about both.
Yeah. Very, very new, and they start talking about the good one. For a long time, it was cholesterol, bad news.
When they are correcting. Okay, there are healthy,
10 years later,
okay.
after everyone is sick.
Sure. Well, at least they're willing to correct it. That's the fundamental thing science should always be willing to do.
They should have listened to the uneducated one because they knew it already.
All of these companies, they take their turn in the spotlight.
Yeah.
With fats are now the new healthy. Protein is now the new healthy. Cholesterol is now the new healthy. All of these macros are just taking the
It's
spotlight.
like the ensemble is moving to the main spot.
And for every
Yeah.
generation, it's something new. And it's just this revolving wheel that is keeping humanity stuck in a state of confusion
Because
and illness.
it's a slow, long path. Because we don't highlight discoverers. We highlight a scholar who went and studied the
material that
the
was
material
funded
that
by
was-
the companies that are putting out these
the
products.
material that is going to be proven wrong 10 years ago. And that's the guy we're highlighting. But the discoverer who already knows it, and people who maybe don't have education, but they know things father to grandfather to family knowledge, or culture knowledge, like India. There's cultural knowledge.
Okay, so I want to put this into frame and context because this is very important what we're talking about, and it's also important for us to understand that it's not all just some cynical agenda that is happening, even though some of it could be. It's the fact that, like what you're saying, this intuitive, passed down generational knowledge and wisdom. Okay.
Yeah.
In the West's success in the world has come from technological innovation through the scientific process.
Right.
It means that for us to kind of collectively come together on reality, we've had to apply the scientific process so that we could all collectively say, A is A.
How many colleges did Tesla go to?
Hold on. Let me just put this into frame and we'll get to this.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that because we are as in the West, we are under this veil of science, of the scientific process, for us to understand our reality through a thesis and having that put into practice and trials and tested and verified. That gives a certain validity and a certain amount of credibility for us to innovate based on that scientific revelation.
Right.
Now, where the cynical aspect of all of this comes into is the bad actors who are taking advantage of this scientific process and trying to find loopholes by having a company, having a product. And you say, well, this product is never going to reach the masses if I can't scientifically validate that it does a certain thing. So what they will do is they will fund scientists to do a study and skew the results in favor of their product. And now we live in a world where most of the science is privately funded by mega corporations and special interest groups.
Sounds like you're talking about peptides. Sounds like peptides. It could be a great example because we're talking about health, and you're talking about the institutional process of essentially establishing health, which goes through scholar, which what comes along with that, grants and money and then credibility to
That's the whole world.
Publish papers. That's the world of academia.
And this is why there's no such thing as big broccoli, but there is big pharma and there's big food and big agriculture, because there is no profit in proving the benefits of broccoli or any herb
do you
for
know
that
how
matter.
competitive it is to get your papers published?
I can only imagine.
It's extremely competitive.
Dude, yeah, you got to study for 8 years to tell somebody a tomato is better than pork.
The system is
And then they tell me I'm off of it sometimes.
You're not wrong, and that is the system, and they would discredit you for saying otherwise.
Yeah, which is retarded. Absolutely retardation. Completely upside down perspective, completely long walk to go. They kill every artist that has a soul. The ones that are very famous are very disciplined people. They're not genuine artists like other ones. The good ones, we lose them. We lose the good scientists that way. We lose good discoverers. Look at Tesla. Look at the best poets we have in the world. Look at every great human being who comes in and becomes individual in this mess that they try to create everybody as the same.
Look, I think this world, anything profound that you do, anything noble you strive to accomplish in life, there will always come people that are trying to pull you down. And we're going to see this throughout human history. So, all the examples you gave are very true. But I think that's also, this is, I guess, going off of the topic. So we don't have to go derail too much. But anybody that's really trying to strive for some greatness in their life and do something profound should expect these things to come along. And if they let the world crumble them, that's their responsibility. They got to take responsibility. They got to know that the world's going to try to crush everything that you try to do.
I know.
They leave people alone that do nothing. They're the ones that don't get attacked.
I completely agree with you, but I want to live in a world where we nourish these people, where we at least recognize and nourish these people. I also want to live in a world like that.
You know? But are we in a world like that?
We could be.
Well, with the democratization of information.
Thank you. I am too. Let's make it. That's the only way to make it. We have to shift.
All right.
This is my, not to cut you off, Cody, but this is I say my world is my reality. My reality is I like to be educated. I like education. I like health. I like movement. I like my body. I like for it to function properly. I don't like constipation, headaches, and random sweats and not bad. I don't like that. I like to feel great. I like to have energy to do things and fall asleep peacefully and have a good night's rest and wake up and have the opportunity to do so much more. Those are all big things. And for me and I say that from an experience of being able to mess all of those up. I fucked all those things up. I was extremely unhealthy and had all fast food. I drank alcohol and I did I put all these poisons in my body. I've poisoned my body. I chose to do that naturally. Well, how smart am I really? I'm so smart. Walk around as a poisoned person. And in doing that, I realized that it affected everything in my life. Everything. It affected my conversations with people. It affected my sleep, in my mood, in my triggers, my stress. Sometimes I would be so stressed performance wise of how I performed in doing things. Perfected my motivate, all of it, my entire life. My relationships were affected. And I've realized what is health really? What is health really? You know, is it just eating good? If I eat good, no, it's that balance.
I think it's about the performance of the capability to perform in life with ease, to walk through.
Yeah, he's coming with it.
I think it's that balance. So I think it's part of it. I think it's mental health. I'll start with that. Mental health, because I think you have to start with the education. Mental health. Understand yourself. Understand yourself in your body. To all your points, things are different for everybody. Sure, we're all similar, but we're also very different. And there's health pyramids that are built to say you are in this. This is you. Follow this. Here's actually the roadmap. Just follow that. And you expect to feel better. You expect to perform. You expect to be like him. Or you. Or me. You know, you expect to be that. This guy got a 6-pack over here. I ate the same thing. I gained 30 pounds. This guy he's eating so much. I eat half of that, and I'm 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't understand. What is this? It's not math. It's not mathing.
Yeah.
But we're calling it math.
Yeah.
So mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health,
Emotional health too.
emotional health as well, because all of these are connected. These
They really are.
they're all connected and they're all feeding off of each other. If I'm foggy in my mind, I know my body's off. Sometimes my digestion's off and my mind's off. Sometimes my stress is high and my vibration, everything is affected. My sleep, if I'm stressed, I don't sleep well at all. Mm-hmm. And then I don't eat. Then I don't eat well because I'm not hungry. What is that? And then I'm very short with people, and all these effects are happening inside my body, and I feel them. Sometimes I'll have a conversation. I get really hot, really hot. Well, what is that? What's going on? What's going on in my body? Do I know my body enough, or am I just saying, oh, it's a normal day, I'm hot? So when I think of this thing, health, and I think of this world that we're in with health, I see a lot. I see a lot. How everybody calls something health, but are we all healthy? I'm a very flawed man. I'm a very flawed.
I feel like that's your catchphrase.
Yeah, that is. And we're gonna have a T-shirt.
keeps him humble.
Chris is, I'm a flawed
just
man.
a flawed man.
I'm a flawed man, but I work on those flaws.
That's a good thing to do.
To understand your flaws, that I think that is the best starting point.
That's
why I keep people like you around.
Just straight shooter.
That's all that is.
tell Chris all
And
his
that's why
flaws.
I have you guys as my closest friends and brothers in life.
So we're just talking shit to each other, telling how everybody has flaws.
No.
I'm a perfect man who enjoys flies.
Did you say flies?
Flies?
Flies.
He enjoys his flaws.
I like
yes.
flies.
And that's a
Flaws
great
are
statement.
flies.
That is an accurate statement for you.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, that is actually very accurate.
So going through all this stuff, man, I personally have aspired to do different things in my life. Mm-hmm. My first love came from performance. So not necessarily bodybuilding, but it was in that realm. Mm-hmm. I needed to build muscle.
Yeah.
So I would put that in bodybuilding. When I think of someone being in shape, these words, in shape. You got to be in shape is supposed to be equivalent to healthy.
Well, I
Very
think
different thing.
I think if let's take it out of the modern landscape of this, and more so, let's take a primitive being that his only physical activity was interfacing and interacting with the life in front of him. And typically, what would happen is your strongest, healthiest beings would be the ones that were incredibly active, that went through heavy trials and tribulations, that strengthened and hardened their body and their mind and their emotions. And back then, the only food to eat was the most natural sources of that food, which either grew from the ground, grew from a tree or a bush, or was an animal, somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so our bodies have evolved on the most natural sources of food for its entire existence.
Yep.
The entire existence and history within our DNA and memory is
Health.
some sort of
It's aggressive.
comes from the planet, the Earth, from a natural organic source. And now we only in the past 100 years,
Thanks, scientists.
only in the past 100 years,
We discovered a new thing, right? We're discoverers now based on the academic system, and we
Okay,
now
so-
we start making GMO, and now there's GMO humans, and
I
now
know.
we're gonna
So
have AI.
here's okay. So I want to be the person in this conversation that takes that gives the perspective of both sides, to give credit where credit is due, but to also allow us to highlight the flaws in the system that has been built primarily from a position of wanting to enhance human life, but then has been hijacked by bad actors. Okay, now, as the world population has continued to increase, always, if you are ahead of a civilization, one of your major concerns is how are you going to feed your population? Okay, if the modern farming practices of that time were not producing enough food, you're going to task brilliant people within your community and
I'll tell you how to feed people. If you give them a free house and give them a land behind it, they'll work that land and live in the house for free. Why are you charging people to buy anything to begin with? Because they need to be slave into a job, which create a society which doesn't involve in your health.
I appreciate the solutions you're trying to give, but I'm trying to give us context into what has happened up until this point. Okay. Now
I tell you what it is. You will highlight. You will speak good about the truth, and you'll be very nice to the stupid. That's the two sides you're taking.
It's not about that, but for the sake of this conversation, I think it's important to educate people who may not know about how the system has gotten to where it has been.
You're fooled. Everybody is fooled, inclling people who know what's going on.
He's hijacking your point like bad actors hijacked
Yes.
health in the modern science.
I know you're frustrated. We'll get you what you need a little later.
Just a hit like
Let's
that.
let him lay down his
halfway
point.
in, man. Go on now.
Let's let him lay his point down.
So, as these civilizations, their populations started to expand, they started to have to adapt their agriculture and their food growing processes to accommodate the growing population. And so that's when new modern agriculture techniques have come in, using pesticides, because pests have always bugs, have always been a crop killer. You have and then what you have an entire season of crops completely wiped out and no food for the winter. And so you had to develop pesticides. You had to develop different soil turning techniques, and then eventually into the modern civilization, you had companies like Monsanto and others that were genetically modifying the seed to endure conditions so you can grow food in regions that food typically wouldn't grow in. Now, on the surface, that sounds brilliant. That sounds like, holy crap, that's a huge modern marvel of technology. Okay, imagine we don't know what the actual downstream effect of modifying a seed will be. And you just, as a scientist, singular focused, you're not thinking of the holistic picture of all of this, okay? Yeah. And that's typically what scientists are educated on. It's one particular microscopic practice, and you ignore the whole picture. So you have a bunch of these people who say, what if I took the genes from this animal and this plant and this thing, and I put it into this corn seed? So that way we can grow corn in any region of the world and feed an entire animal population and human population with a few different macro crops.
Terrible idea.
Well, in retrospect, yes, it is. Because now we see the detrimental effect on our soil. We see the detrimental effect on our ecosystem.
On our animals.
On the animals that are eating these GMO crops instead of real pasture-raised animals, which they have been evolved to grow, and be strong and nutritioned by. The effects that we are now going to start seeing in the next 10 to 20 years on humans eating GMO seed and products. I mean, we're already seeing the effects that, oils like the seed oils that are having on, and now you have a whole.
After how many years?
Exactly.
Remember when they took fat away and they give you the oils and they were like, this is heart healthy. They drew a heart for you.
But that's because
and gave you gasoline.
That's because it was cheaper.
and everybody's like, yes, science, and because they believe the science. But they, for example, they destroyed every farmer and his knowledge about how to protect.
I just want to make one distinction. Then
I know we're talking about health, but
you are talking about health, but I also want to say
nuance.
what Cody is saying. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and what you're saying makes sense too. But it's also clear to explain like science isn't bad. Like it's not bad that science exists. And what you're saying makes sense, but you're targeting a very particular dimension of how science is misused. And I think it's clear to make that, or it's important to make that clear, that science, we're doing all of this because of science. We're talking in microphones because of science. Education can be spread because of science.
Well, if the world wasn't that horrible, we wouldn't even need to talk on this microphone to speak about this.
Well, that's not
you
true.
would eat the fruits in the heaven you live in.
Let me ask you a question. You're an artist, right? And
Yes.
I don't want to go into this, but like, how many people have access to art because of science too? Like, there's good things that science can bring to the world. What we should be actually focusing on is how the whole concept of health has been hijacked, and then science has been hijacked because of that.
Yes.
And they're misusing their positions to create illness in people. But that same science can actually benefit people if the intention was changed. So it's not that science is bad; it's that the intention behind how it's being used is bad, and sometimes not. As the point he's making is it's not intentionally bad most of the time. They're just trying to sometimes feed a lot of people, because a lot of people would have, in some cases, would have died because they wouldn't have had access to food. So in that case, if you were starving right now, literally starving to like you're about to die in days, if I gave you GMO food, you wouldn't even ask me. Even if I gave you infested with some meat infested with parasites, you'd eat it because you're starving. You're gonna die. You'd rather deal with the parasites later and fix yourself, not die. Yeah. So like that's the conditions a lot of times people were presented with, and those were the problems scientists were trying to solve. Yeah. Now we're understanding, this didn't work, that didn't work. It's actually causing genetic problems, illnesses. Now that's where I understand your frustration, is that, that's not the optimal way to live a good life. But we're in a privileged position to be even making this distinction of what's optimal, what's not optimal. It wasn't too far in human history where starvation was the other alternative. It's either do this or starve.
Well, that's what they teach you, because they hijacked your system. They killed your people and they left you to starvation.
No, that's not a way. It's the population grew. The population also grew greatly too.
Population grew.
And humans all had a tendency to wander into places where food wasn't abundantly available. If everyone stayed on their land and where food was available, it's one thing. But there's people on every corner of this planet. Most places, there's nothing to eat there. How are they supposed to eat? So that's why these innovations are taking place, because obviously the people are trying to solve this solution of how do you feed everybody. That was the fundamental thing any kingdom, even in ancient history up until now, had to solve. How do you feed everybody? It's not how do you feed them well, at least feed them and then maybe think about well. But they have to eat. And if they don't eat, this whole thing collapses. So having food abundantly, look even these days, like food gets expensive or something goes wrong and there's nothing available. Things collapse quickly. Hungry people will destroy everything immediately, and then themselves, and then there's nothing left. So first we got to solve this problem of getting everybody fed, and then we have these conversations to say, now let's have this idea, because health is a personal responsibility. That's really, it's not, if people will eat whatever is given to them, but you have to personally have an interest in how do I make myself healthy. And if everyone's personally interested in making themselves healthy, it becomes a community and then a global interest. Then the demand of the scientists is to cater to the health requirement of people, because that's what they want.
Yes.
So if all we're looking at is to feed people, and people are not educated themselves with the proper science, because this is also an important thing too. For example, a lot of recent discoveries came along now how much the gut health impacts the body, and that wasn't known too long ago. Now, understanding that, everybody's going to start getting interested in it. Everybody's going to take a keen interest in how to make your gut healthy. And then you'll see the scientists all find solutions to creating good gut health. And then there's a demand, then a market comes on, which is good. It's good. If they're making money by catering to our interest, that's good and good. But if our interest is health, then they have to make health. If our interest is not health, then they won't care. They'll just solve the problem of hunger. Hunger is not negotiable from that end, but Now, health is a new interest. So this is actually why these important conversations have to take place, is we have to give people not a incentive to hate scientists or hate science, and more of an incentive to actually ask yourself, why is that not even your interest to begin with? Why are you not interested in eating the best quality food? What is the best quality food? How does your body, your mind, your emotions, your energies function the best way? And then the scientists will naturally, because it's a business of its own, find ways to give you that.
That will be great if the science can do that, but they give children only nothing but sugar.
I agree with that.
By the time they're any time, they don't care about nothing.
Well, the scientists don't. The parents do. Scientists don't go to knock on your door and give the sugar.
No, but they approve this whatever plastic they give them in it.
So the parents need to take interest in it.
100%.
The child needs to grow up and take interest in it.
The parents never took my life class. I'm talking about all the time.
Can I
life
subscribe?
Class.
This highlights his point that everyone's journey towards health has to come from a place of personal responsibility and accountability.
See, I like to take care of people. I don't expect all people to take care of themselves. That's part of how the world is.
Yeah, this is part of the beauty of community. And this is why we have educators, people who are trying to educate the masses, because they see the bigger picture of what's happening, because they're staying in touch with the detrimental effects of all of this cheap, poorly made and manufactured food substance. And it's not even real food. It's just food substance created in a lab. And I mean, there's just so much I can go into right now. I'll try to just find the most, brief things, but important things. We vote with our dollars, okay? So if you have an educated population, and now in hindsight, after the experiment is done with all of these GMOs, all these lab-made, substances that we call food. Once the experiment is done, we get to look back and say, okay, what was the effect? Did this work or is it not working? And it sucks. It sucks that we have to be the lab rats of our own science.
That's being nice to the retarded avenue that isn't beneficial for any human being. That's why my point sound like it's not in balance, because I want to cut the crap to begin with. I don't even want to.
But I'm only talking about reality right now.
I know, but it's like, hey guys, let's make this poison and eat it until we find out if it's okay or not. And everybody's like,
no, believe me, I'm just as angry.
It's ridiculous. What doesn't have seed doesn't give you seed. That's easy,
That is not common knowledge.
And then I'm cursed.
No, it's just that
you're blessed to tell people that.
Yes, you're the blessed one to have that information and wisdom, so that you can deliver it and get people on the same page and start.
I have to calm down though.
Yes, please.
Well, you have to see Mo. Like I want to actually highlight this to say that
I respect it, man.
No,
you have a responsibility. Then you have a responsibility to help people understand that, but not make them angry about something else. You see, like don't be angry at scientists. Be like exactly what you're saying is true. Help them. All right. What people did is what they did. What scientists are doing is what they're doing. What people are making money, fine. Let me tell you what the body wants, what's better for it. You have the knowledge coming especially from your father, the things you've studied on your own as well. You have the passion to give them that. So if you take the aggression or the irritation towards all this out of it, and you go straight, screw all the people at the top trying to make money, go to the individual through the science and innovations that we have, and educate people to not be angry, because that's also illness. That goes back to me that you're promoting illness by promoting aggression in people.
It's passion. It's passion.
So, but it can be misinterpreted. I'm sure you can understand that. The passion can easily be misinterpreted in this way of an illness of frustration. You're harming me. This, I hate you. No. That's the wrong way to look at it, even if it's true. The right way to look at it is, okay, these are the facts of how health works. This is how the body works. This is how the energy works. And these are the things you should be eating. If it's hard to find it, look harder. If you can't find it, let's all start talking about it. So
where to find it. Here's the resources,
and give incentive to those very people that are creating harmful substances for us to eat. They're just trying to sell us something. If we're addicted to sugar, they're going to sell us sugar. If we're addicted to healthy food, they're going to sell us healthy food.
But they make you addicted to it before they give it to you.
That's why we have to educate people and let them think about this and have the common sense to not consume that. If no one's consuming it, no one's going to make it.
I have a question. So you guys all said a lot of things, and I agree with all of you guys that there is something up. There's something going on, and what I think is addiction vibration, diction, and your vibration. Let's talk about that. How is food affected diction, and how does it affect your vibration?
Okay.
Wait, can I answer that? The gut. The gut's probably the first place to look.
Yes, that's I.
Because when this is again, these are all very recent discoveries by science to figure out that the gut has a huge. I mean, we always knew this. We didn't know how much it actually affected us. There's a microbiome of bacteria that live in your gut that is directly connected to your nervous system and directly connected to your brain through what's called the vagus nerve.
The Vegas. Yep.
And now we didn't even realize how much that affected us until very recently. When you feed a let's call it negatively impactful gut bacteria all the food at once, sugar, fats, all kinds of nonsense, it takes dominance in your gut. And it gives you positive, I'd say it has access to your dopamine, it has access to your oxytocin, serotonin, all the positive chemicals that you want. It rewards you when you feed it what it wants. So we get into this addiction, as you're talking about, because it's not even us, it's our gut making us addicted to the dopamine we want. It's every time you feel bad, you go eat some crap because then you feel good again. And then you want to feel good. So, and you think we call it's my comfort food, it's my happy food. We start saying all these words, and we don't even realize it's not you. That's bacteria. That's not even your cells. That's alien beings that are living inside of you that are training you like a dog with all the chemicals it has access to. And if you take first of all, educate yourself about this, take responsibility, and do the work to now transform the gut bacteria to now give you that same reward response off of positively impactful foods. You feel just as good when eating that as you did when you ate sugar before. And then now you have a much more positively impactful system going on within you, and you'll only crave healthy foods. But this takes the discipline that required to shift this bacteria, because just as it rewards you, it punishes you for not giving it what it wants. So you want to change the dominance. All this bad bacteria that is in your gut that you're now giving food it does not want, it makes you feel lethargic, it makes you feel depressed. It's punishing you for eating stuff it doesn't want. That's important to understand. So the addiction's coming from the gut bacteria training you with all the chemicals it has.
And how long ago did yoga talk about the stomach?
Thousands of years ago.
This is my point right here.
Yeah, thousands of years ago, and things, and even as far as like the Jain texts, and even in the Vedas, they were aware of what they would call like tiny organisms around us and within us, and so they knew about the
stomach is the start of all illnesses.
And somehow they always say like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, all these things are going to give you a healthier life. Maybe they didn't have a scientific, intellectual approach to explain it, but the advice they gave was perfectly
they had the best thing, which
with
is
what
themselves.
now modern scientists
I need to
are
make
saying.
a point off of this, because this is very important, and it brings us back to a point that we were trying to make earlier, is that it's not so simple just to eat something and feel into the experience that it's giving you as whether it's going to be good for you or bad for you, because now food has been scientifically designed to hijack your brain, to hijack your gut, and to make you feel good, and to hijack your hormones and the chemicals that your brain produces, the dopamine, the serotonin. And so you can't anymore just eat something and feel into it intuitively and think, oh, I'm feeling good, so this must be good for me, because then everyone's going to be screwed. So this is why now it's more important than ever to actually find good sources of information, and educate yourself on what actual nutrition or nutritious food is, and to actually do your research on your own diet. The things that you go to the grocery store and pick up, look into those brands, look into how that food was made, look at the label. If you can't pronounce the things on the ingredient list, typically you shouldn't eat it. If you can, and if it's this long of ingredients, probably not good for you.
just I do the same thing. I'm like, when I see it so long,
Let's be
this
honest,
is laundry
man.
detergent. This
Let's
is
be
not
honest,
a juice.
though. I see your point, and I see where you're going with it, and I think those are important pieces. if I'm hungry, I'm not going and reading every label, bro. I got time for that. Everything's making
I
me
know
hungry.
that's why I want to make a good world for you. I want
I
somebody
want to
to
live in that world too. I mean, I'm not
but,
that's the
but
world I want
because,
to live in
that,
too.
because that's not the world we live in right now. For a short period of time, we're going to have to make that investment into ourselves.
I don't think
Maybe
for a
we
short
look at it
amount of
this way.
time. I think you're gonna end soon, Cody. with that very nice. Let me decide and take my time and be this. The society is being even looked at as not as being smart, and knowledge is not to stand for 1 point and to have a balance between 2 points, and giving only yellow card to the people who've been screwing you for thousands of years now. And all this stuff. If you don't stand for something and fight for something, nothing gonna come to you.
What do you
and
think
the last
I'm doing
pe-
right
yeah,
now?
that's
What do you
what
think
I know,
I'm doing?
I know, but I'm not-
I'm standing and fighting.
Don't take it
through-
personal. I'm talking
it's
about.
Not, it's not personal.
I'm talking about a mindset. I'm not talking
Maybe
about
we look
you.
at it this way. We look at it this way as maybe we will never get to live in that perfect kingdom you're talking about, but we can accept the responsibility to be tasked with the job of laying the bricks as that kingdom
For
is
the
being
next
built.
generation.
So
I hope so. That's what I want to. That's
Even
what
the next
would you
one,
want to
for
leave?
this generation?
Ideally.
just for now.
Well, of course, ideally.
for
but,
now.
but listen, it has to start
Starts with us and now.
with a ragtag group of kids who have a certain understanding of the reality that we're living in, and to make the bold decision to step forward in rebellion against the status quo.
Right.
That's what I'm doing. And while I may be not expressing my perception through direct anger in this conversation,
Not angry again.
or having
This is
this
actually an intervention for Mo's anger.
Yeah, right.
I know it's anger management here.
Look, we're all looking for someone to blame. That's a natural response, and to point a finger and say you're the cause of all the harm that's happening to humanity. And I know that Mozart, especially you have a very big heart, and you want everyone to be in a certain situation in life where they can thrive and prosper. And I share that same passion and invigoration in my own soul. However, I spent 10 years of my life walking through life, let's say, passionate. and that got me nowhere.
You know, I'm not an angry person.
I know.
But there's
Only towards science.
there are some areas, and like the AI is gonna slave you guys so good you have no idea. It's gonna come.
All right,
It's
that's
gonna,
another episode.
Yes,
we can't
okay,
go there.
okay.
So what I'm saying
because it's
is,
gonna do.
is that look,
I can't.
look, we are
Can I tell you what the AI gonna do?
Oh,
Next
no.
episode.
Well, next episode.
Yes, next episode.
Got you.
We are tasked with the responsibility to look at reality as clearly as we possibly can, especially for 4 men who value their health and nutrition. That's the whole reason why we're even having this conversation to begin with. It's because we're interested. Okay? So if we are going to live that, then let's not be hypocritical and point the finger somewhere else. Let's point the finger at ourselves and say, what can we do?
I like that. I'm not a finger pointer. I'm an observer, and for me personally, I like having. I'm just here with you guys, observing, listening, because I'm also a solution oriented person, man. I don't want to. You guys use they a lot and they. Dude, it's us. It's us. Fuck them.
Even more, me.
Yeah, fuck them. Whoever they are, I don't know who they are. You know?
And this is why I'm not trying to make a villain here. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt from all parties, while still acknowledging that there are bad actors who have taken advantage of this entire system and who are profit driven. They know nothing about nutrition. They know nothing about the human body.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they know it very well.
No,
to
the
point-
scientists that they hire do, but the real the visionaries
it's
of this
okay.
world, of the corporations, they know nothing.
No, they do. They know enough to get a bunch of people addicted and uneducated, which is enough. All you need to know.
No, they know. I think they know enough about how marketing works, how creating a product works, and how the human psychology works for them to create something that caters to the human taste bud. That this is going to stimulate someone, and I want you now, scientist, to alter this food substance to enhance it even more, so that we can reach a bottom line, so that we can appeal.
You choose and enjoy your own slavery.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm
acknowledging. I'm acknowledging that is real. That exists.
You're absolutely right. That exists and it is happening. So because it is happening and because we're all so passionate about health, what do we do about it?
Instead of being angry about it and
Again.
Not even
I
pointing
know what
fingers
you
at
mean.
you,
I know what
because
you mean.
this information will make a lot of people angry, and it's going to create a lot of revolution in this society.
Yeah.
And a revolution is already happening, and ideally a
Mm-hmm.
nonviolent revolution, a revolution of democratized information spreading, of what we're doing right now with a podcast, what social media is doing with the democratization and free speech. Okay, so it's about spreading good information, raising awareness, and encouraging and glorifying personal responsibility of lighting the younger generation to say, hey, it's cool to take personal responsibility. It's cool for you to take an interest in your own health and well-being, to be an optimal person.
And nobody else is obligated to care about you more than you.
Yes,
So
if you
that's very important
if
to
you
understand.
grow up thinking that the government is going to take care of you,
It's a blessing if people on the top care about you so much, but you need to care about yourself the most. That's the most important thing.
That's true. And then we have to care for each other. And we care for
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
Because I think that's a big part of what civilization used to be. That's why people had, 8, 10 kids, because they were living to 48, because they needed a community. They needed a tribe.
My grandfather left to his late 80s, had over 20 kids.
It's amazing. He had a tribe, a couple
Yes.
tribes,
Yes.
a village. But for me, that's the expression. It takes a village, and it takes solutions. I could be the most passionate. I'm way over passionate, way over angry. I'm way past that. I'm past that.
Absolutely.
Me. I. It's about me, my feelings. I'm so I get that, dude. I understand all of that. And these are very important things to talk about. But because we have that, that's also why we come with the solutions. Because the solutions at the end of the day are really just up to us.
the solutions are going to come from the people who are even more driven and passionate about.
They're gonna come from us.
Well, yeah, but
You gotta
I
be
think,
passionate
okay,
about
so
people, humanity,
Yeah, but
you
let's make this a little bit more digestible for the average person, okay? Because here's the thing: not everyone is going to pursue a life of trying to solve the world's problems.
I'll take this one for you.
Well,
I'll make it
let me
very
make my
simple.
point.
Okay.
Make my point, and then you can make it for me again, okay?
I'll-
Through your own way. So, the solution for your own life is simple. It's personal responsibility, and it's taking an interest in your well-being. The people who have a higher calling to do something on a communal basis or a civilization basis, let those people educate these people, or they will educate themselves. As long as the word is spreading, as long as good information is spreading into this world, those people who have that inclination, who have that mind, who have that energy, are going to then immerse themselves into finding solutions. And there are those people. Don't feel like you have to go out and solve the world's problems. No, start locally. Start you first, and then your family, and then maybe your neighborhood or your neighbor. Okay? Start small. And this really is a callback to what Jordan Peterson says. It's like, before you go solving the world's problems, make your bed, clean your room, okay? Get your house in order first. Get your body in order first. Get your mind in order first. Get
Be
your
an
emotion.
example.
Like, yes, I agree with that. But that's where I say there are discoverers that we lose because we want them to be disciplined in a certain area, and they just cannot have that place in their brain. I mean, I met these kind of people before, and they have high autism but incredible focus and gift in one path. And you're gonna tell this guy to make his bed? They don't even know what bed means. They sleep anywhere.
Okay, it's not.
Philosophers sometimes are the same way. Like, they're very messy people. What I'm saying is there's a lot of intelligent, messy people that don't fit into fix your life thing first. So it will be great to create a world where we can take care of their needs in a certain area so we can benefit from their own thing. You know, like, for God's sake, we give golden shoes to a person who sing a song about big ass and whatever.
Well, Mozart, we do live in that world. We do live in a world where someone who doesn't have the inclination or capacity to take care of the smaller things in life, they can go out, make their money, and hire someone to come take care of them for them. Whether it's a housemaid, or whether it's a personal chef, or a nutritionist, or a dietitian, all of these services already exist.
What I hear is we need a community, and we need a tribe. Because here's the thing, there are people in the world like that, and they're not as passionate as you. They're not. They're you can yell and you can scream and they're gonna say this guy's out of his mind and they'll point a finger at you and you'll be that guy. For you, people will love you. They'll say, I want to hear more because I believe in this. Or there's people who say this guy's crazy and you're absolutely right. More logical, for sure.
True.
At the end of the day, we need everybody. We need everybody to understand and surround yourself. If you don't have that, if you don't have the education of health, then surround yourself around people.
Yes. But that it always comes down to who's making the choice, though, because you can have the best community around you, and to your point, I agree. But when it comes down to it, you are the one making the choice whether or not you are going to make a better choice today in your health or you're not.
That's why it's we.
But you're not making my choices for me. You can help educate and push me.
I will never make a choice for you. However, if you're around me, you will always feed off of me because I will always lead. And because I will always lead, it will rub off on you one way or another, whether you like it or not.
It's great to have great leaders. Absolutely.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It will always play different parts and we'll always play to our strengths and our weaknesses and we'll always be a mixed bag, man.
Yep.
It's always going to be a mixed bag.
And all I'm doing is I am doing the very unpopular thing and I'm gifting responsibility to everyone who's willing to take it.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you for the responsibility.
I appreciate the responsibility.
And on that note,
I still haven't made one thing. It's a life class for everybody who's going to be watching this.
Take us away, man. Finish
you
us
know
off.
what? You finish off the episode and close us and leave us with something inspirational. And if it's not inspirational, you're going to get attacked like people like piranhas in the Amazon River. Just
because then it's gonna and I'm going to be the bad guy because I'm the one giving responsibility to everyone.
So wise, responsible words.
It's the thing is to try. It's the same example of making a system like you have to go to work, you have to be organized, you have to do this in order to do the thing you love, right?
Right.
And I'm saying some people are not designed to be capable of doing that outside world to do what they want. And that's why I want to build a world that already take care of this need. So you just express yourself and what you already got. And here's my picture to it, how I imagine it. Let's imagine as each one of us on this planet as a whole. This planet is one and we're all made out of the same elements of it. And we all share something called the collective mind. It's an energetic field that we're all influenced by. That your thoughts becomes mine, yours becomes mine, and yours and yours. And we share that on many levels. That's how we all become conscious, or we're all down the ground in life. If each one of us is a cell in one body, all of humanity is one body, and each one of us is a different cell. Right now in the world, we are in different organs. We are messed. There are people that get their dopamine when they're working hard under the sun, and they're happy to do that. And if they don't do that, they don't feel well, Those belong to the liver. There are people that love to give and nourish and heal people. They belong to the heart. There are people love to do the in-between things to make sure everything is organized and clean around. There are the kidneys. You have people who speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. They're in the throat. We have people that bring insight to the world so we can have real evolution. They're in the forehead of that body. We have those who understand and bring certain mysticism and things that are beyond our even imagination. They're in a different area of the body. Right now, we are in a very messed areas. Every cell is in a different place. And that's why the body feels like it's throwing up. Earth is hurting. Most of people are hurting. We're very healthy people, but the outside is struggling, and that's why we do this and we speak it out. My advice to the solution is find the thing that actually align with your emotional field, mental field, the thing that gives you the dopamine through knowing what you just did was accomplishment. A thought could be accomplishment. A line that you write could be an accomplishment. Helping another could be an accomplishment. Or literally digging a hole and building a little hut is your accomplishment. Whatever it is that brings you, go to the organ you belong to. If you genuinely love healing people, go to that. If you genuinely love hard work, go to that. Don't try to be something you're not so you can make more money in this society. Because overall the money if you get money and you're not doing what you really came here to do, you will die unhappy. And I wish a good life for everybody. And that's how we all align and have something that contribute to the one body that we all are. So if I'm your heart, I beat for you. If you're my kidney, clean for me. if you're my throat, speak for me. If you're my insight, tell me, you know. So I can do my place and you can do your place, and we can genuinely thrive in a healthy, well-being place on this planet that we're here. It's the best vacation in the world. We build under the sun, we breathe the air, we swim in water, we make love. We are in the best vacation in the world for a small amount of time.
So you're saying personal responsibility is going to make a happy world. Thank
And
you,
on
Mo.
that note,
On that note,
it is.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Running Bear, and welcome to the tribe.